Welcome to Shop Talk. And we're going to talk about our Sprinter Tug from Zipp kits with a couple of modifications. So there you go. Let's take a look at this thing. Hello everybody, and we're going to discuss our Zipp kits tugboat. As you can see, we have a couple of options on this. It's got functioning water nozzles, and those work really good. It'll shoot them about maybe 3 feet, 4 feet. We've got some lights on here, and they all work. So let's get into this and see what we've got and what we've done with this thing. So it's got all custom lettering on it. It's painted black on the bottom, red on the top, of course. Got a blue pinstripe, and then everything was clear coated. The cabin, as you can tell, has a little occupant in there. It was a tough one to find that guy. I've got spotlights here, spotlight there, of course the red emergency lights. And one of the things I'll explain is, if you remember my previous video when we had the rescue tug, there's the rescue tug. So this is the cab that this was supposed to be. And so what I've done is I actually made a complete new front half of the cabin. I cut this off and I made these all pieces. They're all beveled 45 so that all the seams lined up. And that's how I ended up building that. I wanted something a little bit different for the fireboat. It's got switches in here. So what you'll see is here's all the wires coming down. That was kind of a nightmare. I tried to run everything along the inside. I don't know if you can see it back in there, but inside on the cab. So they really didn't see much. They're run also down the front, inside here a little bit. So I did the best I could. The water nozzle, this is a stainless steel tube I had, and then I just took a piece of brass and I soldered the brass tubing onto that, and then I had to shrink it down because it was still too much pressure, and then I actually had to shrink it down again, or not enough pressure, and I had to shrink it down again to get more pressure. So now that's working really good. The boat itself, let me get this all unplugged here. I labeled everything so it's really easy to plug in. So 2 for 2, you match everything, and everything just works just fine. This is a single switch, and this one is the other one right here. So that comes unhooked, and then the tube comes off, and there's your cabin. So that works pretty good. So what have I got in here, and how have I done this? Well, that's the trick. This is the single engine tugboat. Okay, we'll go ahead and unplug my wires. I hope you can get this so that it'll rest. There we go. And then this is I'm using a 3-cell battery for the water pump. This is my older one. It got puffed, so it works good for the 3-cell for this. This one's running a 1200 kV motor. The factory motor, what they recommend is a 650, so I'm going to probably reduce this and go back down to a 1050, like what's in the other tug. I mounted my water pump up here. I've got a little connector here, XT30 I believe, for that, so if I need to remove it or replace it, that's all taken care of. There is straps that goes on the batteries. You can run these. This is a parallel adapter that I use, and then what I did is I wired, this is a Flyski 7-channel, and really a pretty nice radio for the money, to be honest. And it's got telemetry, so it'll give you your voltage for your battery packs as well. Just an old servo I happen to have laying around, and here's the receiver. So not a lot to it. All wood construction. It's all sealed with epoxy on the inside. I've got some special little rubber bumpers that I found, some rubber, and I checked them before I used them to make sure that they wouldn't absorb water, which they don't. They may absorb a little bit, but it's really a close cell foam, and it also protects it if you need to push a boat out of the way. The bottom is, here's the skeg, and it's a single propeller. Somebody asked me in the other video on the twin what size propellers. These are 44 millimeter, and I think they were, I don't remember the pitch now, but they're 44 millimeter. Again, I did something different on this boat than what the instructions call for. I'm using a stainless steel tube, and I'm using a 4 millimeter shaft with a drive dog and a nut. And it was a little bit tricky to get in there to work, but I think it works a lot better than the 1/8 inch one they give you, and then they gave you a propeller that was like a press-on, and I just didn't want a press-on battery, or propeller rather. Sorry, I was staring at the batteries. So this is my fireboat tug. We'll have a water video here shortly coming up. Right now we've got some really nasty weather that's been here for a few days, and it's going to last for another couple days, so I'm not going to be able to get out to the pond. And because I go across the street to my neighbor's, I don't really want to tear his grass up when the ground is really soggy and wet and, you know, do all that damage. So, but this is what I did. I'm using a 5 millimeter. This particular motor, it's a Turnigy. And it actually has a 5 millimeter shaft and then down to a 4 millimeter collet. And then I added this is a oiler. And so what I did is I took the tube and I put it in the drill press. I have a really good vise, and I drilled a hole centered, and then this clamps on there. And so I made sure I got that all spaced out the way it goes. This is a little tricky to get all in that skeg, but like on the twin engine, I drilled it with a drill press, and you could get it pretty straight. And then if you needed to make any adjustments, you could do that, and then you epoxied all in. So I added this extra piece here. One of the things I did on my boat that they tell you, you know, it needs to weigh a certain weight. So what I did is underneath these battery trays, I actually have, if you listen, I got it full of lead, both on either side. And then I added a little bit of lead inside the center, and I used epoxy resin and put that and filled it up with the top on that, so none of the lead's going to come out. It was actually lead shot for shotgun reloading that I happen to have, a big bottle of it. So I used that. Works pretty good. Now on the twin engine, the motors go on either side where these two battery trays are, and the battery goes in the middle. So it's a little trickier to add weight, and I like this boat a little bit more stable because the lead's on either side, so if you turn a corner it doesn't like tip real bad, whereas the other one with the lead in the middle, it tends to tip a little more than this one. So if that's something you're interested in. It handles waves pretty good. I haven't been out in a big lake with it too much, but seems to work pretty good. This boat has not been run too awful much, but there you go. This is the single engine Tugster from Zipp kits. Building is pretty straightforward. I've built 3 of these boats now. I built one for a friend of mine, and I built the 2 for me, one twin engine and one single. So there you go. That's my Zipp kits. Love to have you subscribe if you have a mind to, and by all means, any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and get back to you as soon as we can. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.